Okay. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started then? I think it's 12:02. I have a few people come in. That's okay. So my name is Mike Cunningham. Yeah, thanks, Randy. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm an education and engagement consultant here at Canada Life, and my passion is about financial literacy, and in particular, the power of a group plan. It may not seem it seems kind of weird that would be a passion for someone, but really, there's a lot of power and a lot of impact that it may have for all of you. So, for the next, say, 35 minutes, 40 minutes or so, I'm going to go through some content about your plan, discovering more about this benefit for the hard work you all do. And certainly how to make the most of it is kind of what I like to ask everyone of this plan. So, a couple of housekeeping items. The session is being recorded. So, not only today, but in the future, if something that piques your interest, I'm going to go through a lot of resources and support available to you through your plan. Certainly revisit it. It's here for you as an ongoing resource. But I do want to maybe reward the people that are live in the attendance today. So if you do have questions, what I'd like you to do is put them into the Q&A section of Zoom. And what I'll do is at the end of the session, I'm going to go through each one of your questions. So if you're thinking it, likely means that someone else on the line or viewing the recording is as well. So yeah, don't hesitate. Just put them in there. As well as I may ask for some reactions. I might get some feedback from you. I don't see your cameras on or your microphones aren't on, but certainly I may ask you questions. So if you don't mind engaging today, that would be great. So what are we going to be talking about? So first and foremost, today we'll be reviewing your plan. So the RRSP, what is the point or what is the purpose of having a retirement savings plan? So I kind of want to set the stage a little bit about this. Again, why does it benefit you? What's in it for you? I really want to emphasize that today. I also want to talk about the unique benefits of your plan. So, why participate in this plan versus, say, your bank or other financial institutions? How is this plan different? How is it there to benefit you? Again, I want to make sure you're aware of these benefits. I also want to talk to you about choosing an investment in retirement. So, every one of us that are participating in the plan, you have an investment today that you're currently putting your money towards. So, how do you choose that? It's up to you to decide. And there's not one right investment for everybody. We all have different long-term financial goals. So again, I want to emphasize how you choose the investment. If you don't have to be a financial professional to do so. There's a very easy way that we tried to prepare you to make that choice. And by all means, you're not here alone. So if you need support, we're going to go through My Canada Life at Work, the tools, the support available to you. So if you're not sure, you're hesitant, you don't feel confident about the next actions, we want to make sure you have that support available. All right, so let's kind of transition here. So let's talk about your plan, the plan details. And maybe I'll take a brief step back to say, what is a group savings plan? So first, this is a plan that's sponsored by CAEA, right? So it's sponsored by them. They realize the goal that long-term savings is very important to everybody, and they really ultimately want to provide this as a member benefit on your behalf. Now, although it's employer sponsored, this is your account. This is an account held in your name for your benefit for things like retirement or those long-term savings goals you might want to have. You select the investments. So there's a menu, a pre-selected menu from your employer of what investments will be available to you within the plan. Again, a lot of work behind the scenes to try to prepare you for success, set you up for success. So you select from one of those or you select from that pre-selected menu of investments. You contribute, and obviously there may be incentives where there's employer contributions as well. So again, this is here to help you. Just think of it again as another way you get compensated for the hard work you do. Again, if there's any questions about this, certainly put them into the Q&A. We're glad to answer those. Now, in particular, there's an account, a particular account that holds the investments that you put towards. So the account is a group RRSP or Registered Retirement Savings Plan. So what is unique about this account? You may have heard of this term before, perhaps. So what are the features that make it unique versus any other type of investment account? So first, the contributions that you make are reduce your taxable income, meaning that when you contribute to your plan, you're not paying tax on that contribution. Also, as the money is in the account, it's called the tax deferred, meaning that as the money's growing, hopefully every year, that growth, you're not being taxed on the government. So the actual taxes happen when you physically withdraw the money as cash. So there is some strategy again about how do you maximize these benefits? How much are you paying or how much are you saving at the beginning when you're contributing? How much are you paying when you make that withdrawal? I'll also mention with these plans is that it's not limitless. So you can't just put any amount of money into the account. There are limits to how much can be contributed to a group RSP or an RSP in general. Typically, it's 18% of your previous year's income up to a certain maximum. But I will say that if you don't fully contribute in previous years, that room does carry forward. So again, you want to be aware if you're saving for in your RSP, you might want to make sure that you're not over contributing, but keep in mind if you haven't done so in the past, that room does carry forward. Now, there might be some younger people in the audience, and you think, oh, retirement, I don't care about that, right? But the group RSP, there's other features that you might be of interest to you. So the home buyers plan and the lifelong learning plan. So these are government programs that allow you to withdraw the money from the RSP, and you don't get those penalties like you would otherwise, those tax implications, like you would with a regular withdrawal from your account. So that would be towards purchasing a home for the first time, or if you haven't owned a home for 5 years, you can make a withdrawal. You're not paying tax on the withdrawal. Same thing with the lifelong learning plan. If you want to go to post-secondary education, obviously there's going to be a cost to that. So that's where this lifelong learning plan, you can make a withdrawal. You don't have to pay the tax, and you can go back to post-secondary school if you wish. So these are just, again, additional benefits for this plan that are available to you. I'll also mention that there's voluntary contributions permitted. So obviously you're making a certain amount. There's a particular contribution you're making in the plan, but perhaps maybe you got paid more than you thought, or maybe your income was higher this year versus other years. So this is where if you want to save a little bit more into your accounts for these long-term goals you may have, you certainly have that ability to do that. And obviously you get that immediate tax benefit too. So again, if there's any questions about a group RSP, again, it's set up for those long-term goals, things like replacing your income when you finally want to, say, retire or have that financial security. So one of the tools that I like to bring up is through our website, canadalife.com slash smartpath. And this really just kind of starts to imagine or envision what could be the power of a plan itself. So what I did is I took a hypothetical scenario. Unfortunately, I'm not 29 years old anymore. I wish I was, but I'm not. But let's say you're 29 years old today and you want to eventually use some of this money for at age 65 for some of your income. And let's just say you're earning $65,000 a year and you contribute 6%, right? So 6% is going from your pay into this, say, RRSP with a 6% rate of return. So after these, say, 36 years of contributing, how much potentially could you have in your account based on this scenario? So the nice thing, it's almost $675,000. Or if you need that for 25 years of income, almost $48,000 of income that you could take every year for 25 years to replace that working income you might have. So what I'd recommend everyone to do, if you want to kind of have a picture of maybe what could this plan eventually offer me, go to canadalife.com/smartpath, put in your own scenario of how much are you contributing, what is your age, what is your income, uh, rate of return. And it really, I think it gets a little bit more exciting. I think if we all looked into our app or into our accounts, if we saw that total, we would be very happy, right? So again, this just gives you an example. Don't put too much into this number, but an example of the potential power of your plan and why it's important to have this when you're working with CAEA. All right, so let's transition here. Again, if there's any questions about any of the information I go through, put them in the Q&A. We're going to go through each of your questions. I see that there's a couple of that have already come up. Don't worry, I'm not going to answer them right now, but I am going to address each and every one of them at the end of the call today. Okay, so let's talk about maximizing your plan. So how do you do that, or why you do this? So there's some unique features about your group plan that you may not realize. So one of them is just it's easy to set up, right? So you participate in the plan. When you get paid, a certain portion goes towards things like your group RSP. Also, there's a diversified fund lineup. So when we think of behind the scenes, there's a lot of governance. There's a lot of people that are looking at what funds are available to you. How are they performing versus other, say, stock market or market relative market performance? And they're governing the plan on your behalf. I'll also mention there's going to be other benefits, things like low management fees for the investments available to you as well. So let's really just kind of go through some of the aspects of this plan and how it benefits you. So the first thing I want to highlight again is the immediate tax savings. So when you contribute to a group RRSP, you're not paying tax on that contribution. So this is an example. I'm a numbers guy. I like to use numbers. So bear with me here. So let's say you're earning $65,000 a year. You're putting in 6% into your plan. That would be $150 biweekly. Just as an example, that would be contributed. But what you could see is how is that changing your paycheck, right? Because obviously you're contributing, you're sacrificing today for a longer term security. So what we could see is based on an assumed tax rate versus someone who wouldn't have contributed at all, that $150 contribution doesn't cost you a net difference on your paycheck of $150. It only affects it by $105 based on that assumed tax. So again, you get immediate tax savings versus someone who doesn't contribute and they actually pay more tax on their paycheck. So that's how that works. Again, that's very unique to a group plan. Also, we may want to talk about fees, right? And whenever you have an investment, there's going to be a fee attached to the fund itself. So in the group world or in your group plan, they're called IMFs, investment management fees. And what I show here is just an example of how it can impact you. Because if you think of, say, just a 1% difference in the fee, all else being equal. So you have the same investment. One is, say, at a bank versus a group plan, and you have $20,000 to invest. So if the fee is 1% lower, it means, again, all else being equal, your return is 1% higher. So that's what we see in this case, a 5% return in a group plan versus an individual account where it'd be 4%. So from 20,000, they still grow, mind you, but you can see almost a $10,000 difference in the balance in this example. That's just because, again, the higher net rate of return, you're not as much as being eaten by fees of the fund itself. So that's, again, another really big benefit of your plan where fees are negotiated on your behalf. Again, it may mean more in your pocket potentially. Now, another aspect I want to highlight is we talk about long-term planning and financial security, but the reality is sometimes, you know what, the short-term goals overshadow your long-term planning. And that's where it might be really tempting to use your group plan as the source of just a day-to-day cash, right? But just keep in mind that there are implications, that the plan is designed to provide you that long-term goal, that long-term financial security. So another tool that you may want to consider is if you're thinking of making withdrawal from your RRSP, just realize the implications. So you can go to canadalife.com/smartpath. Again, you go to the site, there's a withdrawal calculator that's there. Also, I'll highlight where it is on your member site as well. But let's just say that you have a scenario where someone's 30 years old, they have 25,000 in their account, and they want to withdraw $20,000 from their plan. So just realize when they do that, there's an upfront withholding tax that's applicable, depending on how much you take. So 10%, if it's between $1,000 to $5,000, you'd pay an upfront 10% withholding tax, meaning 10% is withheld from that money that you're withdrawing. From 5 to 15,000, it would be 20%, and anything over 15,000, there would be an upfront 30% withholding tax that the government keeps from that money. So again, you're not going to get a dollar for dollar withdrawal when you make it from an RSP. And maybe, you know what, give me a thumbs up or give me a reaction if anyone has ever made a withdrawal from an RSP. They may be aware of these rules, but just realize that there are implications. And it's not just that upfront withholding tax that you'll be paying on your income that you're withdrawing here, but it's also that opportunity of future growth, because this isn't just regular money that's sitting in a bank account. There's also the opportunity cost, we'll call it. Well, that money would potentially earn money over time. So that's where, to go through more of an extreme example, if you withdrew $20,000, that money's no longer invested. So if that was held for 35 years, it'd actually be $153,000 more that you'd have in your plan. So that's where, again, I know things happen and you might need to access the funds, but just realize There are implications to this. It is designed for that longer term goal. And again, if it can be avoided, you might want to consider how efficient it is for you in the long run. So that's where, if you need help, if you're not sure of these implications and you have questions, what I'd recommend is you book an appointment with what we call our Freedom Experience Wealth Consultants. So these are licensed individuals, they're salaried, so not going to be pushy salespeople, but they're there to help you understand your plan. So if you have questions about that withdrawal, you want to make sure you understand all the rules, you can book an appointment. Maybe you just want to highlight, again, you want more help, advice on your plan itself. Scan the QR code if you have your phone in front of you. You make the appointment on your time when it's convenient for you. Typically, they're there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for appointments to be had. So again, if you need assistance, scan the QR code. It's a resource that's free for you if you need advice. All right. So again, if you have questions about any of those tools, what's in it for you about this plan, put them in the Q&A. I see there's some more questions coming in. The next part of this section or this presentation, I really want to highlight the investment strategy and how, again, this isn't just money that's sitting there necessarily. This is an investment that you're making for yourself. So why invest? You invest because there's a potential increase in your savings. You know what? Markets go up more than they get down typically. So it's there to really help you grow your wealth. And I think we all want to be wealthier no matter who we are. It can help protect your buying power. You may have heard of the word inflation over the last few years. This could be a way to protect your wealth, to protect yourself from inflation and the rising costs of prices. You also benefit from compounding. So that money is earning money on top of itself. It's working harder for you. And we all have goals, short, midterm, long-term financial goals that we want to achieve. Again, this helps you potentially have that where it's not just the money you're putting in, but it's also that potential growth that's helping you. So hopefully to achieve those goals faster. So the best way to learn more about the funds, I will say, is by going on our website. And I hope everyone has been on My Canada Life at Work before. If you take one thing away of today's presentation, maybe it's is that you want to go to the site, you want to download the app. I'm going to show you some features at the end of the presentation today, but make sure you're engaged with your plan, that you know how much balance you have, and that you know what kind of investments to choose from. And within your plan itself, there's really two different approaches that are available to you when you're making this selection. So say you're enrolling, you're making the selection on the investment, there's really two different approaches that we recommend you take, a low touch approach and a high touch approach. So there's not one right way, as I mentioned. So it's really a matter what makes the most sense for you. How financially savvy are you? How much time and effort do you want to put in? So let's address the low touch approach first. So this is through the target risk funds. Now, what is a target risk fund? Have you ever heard of this concept before? So what it is it's one investment fund you hold. So it's just one investment, and the funds have tailored risk profiles. So although you hold one investment, it's a fully diversified portfolio of stocks, of bonds, of other things that are going to lower your risk, relatively speaking. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're in the right risk category. That's really the key here, that you want to make sure that you understand, is this appropriate for me for my goals? So we try to make it pretty easy for you. There's 5 different target risk funds that are available to you within your plan, and they go from conservative to aggressive. Okay. And it's not the rocket science, I say. So if you think of aggressive, what does that mean? It means you're in stock market investments for the most part, which can be up or down, right? The markets can be very volatile. They can be up or down based on performance. So you're going to go through that roller coaster potentially to try to get that higher growth rate, right? On the other side of it, the flip side, conservative, you're going to be in more things like bonds, income investments that are just paying an interest to you, that are less volatile, historically speaking, anyway. All right. So everything in between, you choose what risk profile is best for you. Now, you might be asking me, well, that sounds great, but I have no idea what risk profile that makes the most sense for me. So here's where another tool comes into play, where if you go to canadalife.com/IPQ, Investment Personality Questionnaire, that's what that stands for, you can go through this questionnaire. It's 14 questions. It goes through things like What is your current financial standing? How you feel about risk and volatility? Again, performance, what kind of a growth objectives do you have? So you go through the 14 questions. Now, it might be a little hard to see on the screen here, but there's 5 different profiles based on your score. So you can see them here. So you go through the questions, you get a score, and then you'll be a certain investor type. So give you an example. Say I go through the questionnaire and I score 175. So I would be an advanced investor in that case. So you'd choose the advanced target risk fund that aligns with your risk objectives. All right. So it's really that straightforward where you choose the fund based on your answers from the questionnaire. Okay. Now, there's also what we call a la carte investments. So there's ones that are just individual, where they just might be a Canadian equity fund or international fund, as an example. So if you're going to go through picking and choosing your own investments, this is a high touch approach because you have to make the selections, you have to rebalance every so often. So what you want to do is, again, you can do this, you can pick and choose. You can also call us or go on the website to make changes to your platform at any time. So when you do the questionnaire, as opposed to choosing the target risk fund, there's also going to be a suggested asset mix that may look similar to this, where it'll give you some suggestions to say, here's how much to go in foreign equity versus Canadian equity, so on and so forth. So again, you don't need to have be a certified financial planner or be a you can do this, but it does take more time and effort. Okay, so to kind of put it blankly, go on the website, go to the IPQ, the questionnaire, make sure the risk is aligned properly, and then there's lots of details on the website that you can go through if you're interested. Maybe this does pique your interest, maybe it doesn't. So again, I think this is a key where you want to make sure your investments are aligned. And the bottom line is there's something for everybody here, folks. So it doesn't matter if you're 80, right? And you know what, you have a certain investment, or you're just starting your career and you want a higher risk profile. So there's something for everyone and in between. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about resources and what's available to you. So have you been on My Canada Life at Work before? When's the last time you reviewed your account? Let's go through how we're supporting you through this plan and how you get more information. So the first thing I want to highlight is through the CAEA site, under benefits and services. So you kind of go to the top pan, and this is where things like your benefits will be as well. So under benefits and services, there's going to be a site that looks like this, where it's going to go through these tiles on the right-hand side if you want to know more about your RRSP or you want access to the site. There'll be a description as well, which will have things like the impact of withdrawal calculator there. So it has all the details you might need. So go to the site under benefits and services. Again, this is your go-to in terms of finding information about your plan without signing into your personal account. Now, ultimately, to find your personal details, you want to go to My Canada Life at Work. Okay. So I know that some of you may have never been on the site before. So you might know that, yes, I have a plan. Maybe I've called into the call center before. But again, I think it's just a matter of are you on the site? How do you find more information? So if you know you have an account, but you've never been on the site before, you'll need to register. And I encourage everyone to do so today if you haven't done that before. And I'll go through the process of what that looks like. So you go to the website, you click on register. You have a savings plan, right? So you want to select savings, because we hold at Canada Life, we hold your savings plan only, okay? So through that, you're also going to be asked to identify yourself. So you do so through your policy number. So your guys' policy number is 61409. And you'll also be asked for a certificate number, which is your employee ID. Now, if you have a member statement that you get mailed to you, that'll be under key information, where you'll see this certificate number. Or if you need help, call us at Canada Life or connect with your HR department. They're there to provide that information if you're not sure what that is. Okay. Again, there's supports available. So say that's the certificate number, you click next. Then you want to enter your personal details. So again, you're registering for your site so that you can get in for the future. So we'll say my name is Bert Demo and I go through my email, password. So you're creating your own credentials so that you can sign in moving forward as well. And then you click continue. Then we're going to send you an email, right? So we want to verify. Security is really critical for us too. We want to make sure your account's secure. So based on the email you put in the registration, we're going to email you that confirmation. You click yes, and then it's going to ask you for your credentials that you put in to sign into your plan. And that's really it. So it's a few steps to basically register for the account itself. Lastly, we're going to verify again your details, your date of birth, your name, and again, just a couple steps that you need to register your plan. Again, this is something that everyone will need to do to get into the plan itself. Lastly, there is multi-factor verification too. So that's where, again, maybe you go through, you set up your password automatically. We'll text you the code, that sort of thing, to make sure your account's secure. So you can select that if you wish or not. All right, so managing your plan online is also very important. So again, it's not the most exciting stuff, I admit, but really important, I think, to access your account. So you go to My Canada Life at Work. Make sure you go to your app store on your phone too. Again, you can link your account. Go to My Canada Life at Work. You should be able to download the app, and that's going to have a lot of the features I'm going to highlight today as well. So you go through your access ID and password. And by all means, maybe you did this before, maybe you did it 2 years ago, and you have no idea what your credentials are. You tried to forget your password and it didn't work. We have a dedicated technical support line. So if you can't get access to your account, call that number on the screen, that 888 number. Again, we're here to support you to get into the plan itself. All right, so once you do that, you go through your credentials and you click sign in. Now, why would you want to go to the site? So I do want to just take a few slides here just to emphasize what information is available. So first, if I ask you, how much money do I have in my account today? Could you answer that question? So if not, you go to the site or you go on the app. It'll tell you how much you have in your accounts, how much came from you, how much came from CAEA, as well as how much came from just growth of the investment itself. There's also going to be a retirement goal tool. So if you go to the overview, here's the summary, and here's the retirement goal tool. So if you want to incorporate things like CPP, old age security, maybe you're closer to retirement than you were before, and you're kind of more interested of, am I on track to actually be financially secure in the long run? It'll go through and it'll incorporate these things here, where it'll kind of gauge how much does my lifestyle cost today versus how much I'm projected to have in savings. So again, I think it's a nice first step to build that retirement plan eventually. I also want to highlight, if you go to the top icon under the little human here and you go to your profile, might be a little hard to see, you can update your personal information. You can update communication preferences. How about your beneficiary? What if something were to happen to you? Do you know who would receive your monies, right? Do you have a will, power of attorney? These things are important to have, as well as if you want to know more about your plan, you can go to plan details as well. Under savings, your portfolio, this is where it really starts breaking it down. So say you have your account and you want to know, what investments am I in? What's been my rate of return? Maybe I want it linked to other parts of the account as well. Your first step would be to go through your portfolio under savings. Okay. So again, I'd say if you have a first step, it's going to provide you all those details. Also, you might need your tax receipts, or you want to look at previous statements. These are available online. You don't have to wait for them to be mailed. I know Canada Post, I think, is still on strike. I'm not sure. I think they are. But if you need to upload your statement, you can do so. You do your taxes in March, you can upload your tax receipts to make sure everything is updated accordingly. You could also customize this through different activity reports as well. I'll also mention, we talked about your investments. So how do you update or change your investments? You can do so through the managed portfolio under investment instructions or end fund to fund transfer. So investment instructions would be how future contributions will be allocated. Fund to fund transfer will be under your existing money that you have. Okay, so again, lots of details there for you to have. Also, if you want to know more about financial literacy, I think it's really critical. Again, it's a passion of mine. Go to Info Center for savings. So this is where there's a learning center where there's going to be videos, there's going to be articles. So maybe, you know what, you need to know more about the home buyer's plan. So what is a home buyer's plan? How does it work? you can go to the Learning Center. They'll provide this information for you. There's also fund review and fees. So let me go here. So Learning Center is there. Fund review and fees, that's where you can view all the investments, the management fees that are available to you. You know what performances look like as well. It's all there, as well as your member booklet. So if you want to know more details, specific details about your plan, what is the contribution rates, how does it work, it's there under the member booklet. Now, I'm almost done for today. I want to make sure to go through everyone's questions. Looks like there's about 11 of them, which is excellent. But I do want to highlight, what do you take away from today's presentation? So it might just be going on the site, reviewing the accounts, but I will emphasize this might be another one where to connect with a wealth consultant. Again, these are licensed individuals. They're there to give you advice on your plan. So if you don't have a financial advisor, this is our solution at Canada Life for you to help you along. They'll answer any of your group questions, right? So everything that's been asked in the chat here, they could help you. That could be a good reason to book an appointment. Again, I would encourage everybody, how are you maximizing your plan? Are you making the most of it? So I should go back. There's also 10 different languages available. So if English or French isn't your first language of communication, you can request another language that's you're more comfortable with. Again, this is something you book on your own time. When you're available, it's a half-hour conversation, either through phone or video chat, to talk to our consultants. Lastly, I'll talk about the tools and services. So we went through a lot of resources today. Might be a little overwhelming. I apologize if that's the case. But what I will say is contact us. If you need immediate assistance, we have call centers that are available to you. Make sure you have the mobile app as well. Our member website I just showed you has lots of great details to help you along. There's also educational resources too. So canadalife.com/smartpath. Now that has a lot of calculators, articles, videos. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be just about retirement. If you have any financial goals and you want information, this is a great free resource that you know is reputable. And lastly, I mentioned again, I'll briefly mention, go to canadalife.com/freedom experience. That's how you book an appointment with a Canada Life consultant to talk about your plan. So with that in mind, I'm going to go through questions. It looks like there's a few online. Now's the time. So certainly put them in the Q&A or even raise your hand. Perhaps we can even unmute you if need be as well. So we're going to go through questions. What I will say as we're doing this, though, is I'd love to hear from you. I think we haven't done one this year. So this is something where I want to know more about what you thought of today's presentation. Did it hit home? Was there something that piqued your interest? So complete the survey. It'll take about 5 minutes or so, and we'd love to get your feedback on what you thought. All right, so with that in mind, though, I'm going to go through the question period. So let's go through each question. Rita, thank you for asking a question here. I think I sent a question earlier. I'm 80 due to remissions. How do I make the most of the benefits? So that's a great question, Rita. That might be something you might want to talk to your HR department about. So typically RRSPs, you can have an RRSP up until you're age 71. So once you're 71 or afterward, you must convert a retirement-based account like an RRSP into retirement income. So you start withdrawing the funds here. So I think again, you might want to talk to your HR about if the plan's applicable or not. But typically after age 71, you start withdrawing these. So hopefully you're reaping the benefits of the account from previously. But once you're in that retirement age, which in this case would be 71 plus, you have to start withdrawing these funds. It doesn't have to be 71. I mean, you could do it beforehand as well, but again, at 71, the government basically dictates that you need to start converting that to an income. So hopefully that's okay, Rita. What happens to the RSP if I leave equity? So that's a great question. So keep in mind, this money is for you. So it's for your benefit. So basically, if CA lets us know that, yes, you've left the organization and you're no longer an active participant, we'll send you a letter that goes through all of your options. So basically, you can put it in your own personal RRSP. You can keep it with Canada Life and your own personal RRSP as well. You have access to the funds again if you wish to. So basically, there'll be an options package that goes through each of your options. This might be another way to another great opportunity to call us at Canada Life too. So let me go back here. This would be a great time to call us or book an appointment, and they can go through your options too. So thanks for the question. Hopefully that helps. Another question from Jeanette. Thank you so much, Jeanette, for asking the question. Can you explain the tax implications of cashing in the plan? Yes. Okay. So great. Maybe we addressed it, maybe we didn't. So let's just revisit that, because I think it is an important aspect, that certainly withdrawals are available, but what is the implication to you? So I'm going to bring back this slide here. So again, you can go to canadalife.com/smartpath. There's a withdrawal calculator, but basically you haven't paid tax on the income, that you put in, right? So there's been no tax on that money. So when you make a withdrawal from the plan, that's when the tax implications occur. Okay, so in this case, how much tax the government holds up front depends on how much you've withdrawn. So I did highlight the numbers, but I'll highlight them again. From $1,000 to $5,000 withdrawal, a minimum of 10%. You could do more if you want them to withhold more, but at least 10%. From 5 to 15,000, 20%. Above 15,000, 30% withheld, right? So maybe I'll use an example. Say you withdraw $15,001, so that's going to be maybe 4,500 and say $3 would be withheld. So you'd get the net amount of that, say $10,500 as an example. Hopefully I'm not throwing too many numbers out at you, but that's basically how it works. Now, ultimately, when you do your taxes, depending on how much income you've earned through the year, maybe you get a little bit of that back. If you're lower income, maybe it's you owe more, right? So it might depend on your marginal tax rate. So that's where talking to a financial advisor or a tax professional really is important to know what are those implications of that withdrawal. So great question, Jeanette. Hopefully that helps what happens in this case. All right, so another question. Thanks for closing that, Randy. Hannah Crawford, thank you for asking your question. I recently had an equity contract where the company contributed to my newly opened RSP. I got my letter in the mail to show my contributions that showed them as of September 2025, showed zero. So is this something that's normal? If not, what do I do to ensure the contributions are taken from my pay properly? So what I would do is, again, that might be something you might want to either address with your HR or call us at Canada Life to make sure, maybe call the call center. I would check in with HR first, just to make sure everything is set up properly. If not, you might need to just address that with us at Canada Life as well. So hopefully that answers that question. Maybe, I don't know if Randy, if you want to chime in here, but I think that's something you'd want to connect with us on, Hannah, just to make sure.
Yeah, I'll just add, Mike, that we know that obviously Mike does this for a lot of different organizations that have group RSP plans. We don't have an HR department as such
Oh,
for our
okay,
members,
okay, yeah,
but you can certainly reach out to the membership team at membership@caea.com, and they can check with the finance department. And sometimes it's just a matter of the processing time in terms of when deductions are made from you, but the engager actually finally remits them to equity, and then we actually send them along and stuff. So sometimes that timeline will leave a gap in terms of when it appears in your account. But definitely reach out to membership@caea.com and we can look into it for you.
okay. Thanks for that, Randy. Yeah, so membership, maybe we can even put that in the chat if you want, Randy, in terms of what the email is, but appreciate that. Okay, another question from Hannah. Thanks. So what happens with the contribution room if they have two streams of income? All right, so I think it's a matter of how much your overall contribution room is. So let me just, again, address that briefly here. Let me just go back. So it's this one here. All right, so basically the amount of room that you generate is 18% of your previous year's income up to a maximum. So the maximum would be 34,490. So as long as basically you're under that 18% contribution, again, there may not be a concern. Unused room, you can go over that, but as long as you have unused room as well. What you might want to do, I didn't include it in this, but if you're worried about your contribution limit, you'd want to review your notice of assessment when you do your tax return. or you might want to go to your own CRA account. So my CRA, they track everything. So again, if you're nearing the limit or you think you're contributing more than 18% and you've been pretty diligent in contributing, again, that accumulated amount, 18% is the key savings rate factor that you might want to look at. And again, I'll kind of repeat myself. Another reason to maybe call Canada Life and talk about everything in that case. All right, great. More questions is great. So we have about 17 more minutes, which is I'll try to get to everybody. Um, all right, so Charlotte, you have a question. I'm 67 years old with almost 200,000. How and when should I start receiving my pension? Is it best to leave it, or if I don't? Okay, so what I would say is every individual is different in terms of when they need to start with or would want to start withdrawing your monies. So what I'd recommend is maybe you'd want to highlight this service again, where you'd want to talk to someone about um, what's what's the best option for you. So what is the best considerations to leave it versus not? Again, it's a little bit more of a retirement planning that you might need, Charlotte. So we have these services available to you to really help you hold your hand through all those and provide advice. So if you click on this link or you book an appointment, that can kind of get the ball rolling in terms of what that means for you. So it's hard to answer that question in general, but I'd say reach out. That's a great example of when you might want to get some help. All right, another question. Can you set up a Canada Life to auto withdraw money from your account at a set rate? No, I don't believe that would be the case. Again, you want to understand that there's tax implications to this. There's implications. So what you'd want to do is make sure you just reach out to us when you want to make a withdrawal. All right, another question. CAA doesn't match RSP contributions, right? If there is the case, what is the advantage of the group RRSP versus self-directed investments? So again, I think we didn't go through the plan rules necessarily. You're putting in contributions. Again, I think there is compensation from CAEA as well. So that's something where going to the member booklet is really critical, or again, calling us at Canada Life to go through all of the details of your plan. So if you go to the member booklet here on the site, this will provide all those details. Or again, you might want to call us at Canada Life.
Sorry, Mike, I just want to chime in. There isn't
Yeah.
a match contribution, as the member pointed out correctly. So I
Yeah.
think what they're really asking is, what do you get out of being part of a group RSP as opposed to them just directing themselves in terms of how they invest? Like, what are the extra benefits that they're getting as being part of this plan?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll highlight this one again. I think it's just a matter of, again, we talked about, I think they even mentioned um, uh, management fees. So it's a little bit of governance as well, as I highlighted. So things like who's looking over the performance of the funds, right? So there's governance behind the scenes to saying, yeah, are these funds, are they offering everything they can? Again, I'm not saying this is the only solution in this case. So if you're a self-directed investor, you want to do it on your own, certainly there might be benefits that way as well. But it's really, I think, that automatic savings that you're able to do, that you have this governance behind the scenes, and typically at advantageous costs for at least active managers as well. So those are the things I think I would highlight on this screen that are the main perks of the plan itself. Great. Okay, great. So another question. I don't know if this was said at the very beginning, but how and where do I check my account? Okay, so thank you for asking that question. What you want to do is to check your account. You might want to go back to the recording as well, but you'd want to go to My Canada Life at Work, and you want to make sure you're registered if you haven't already done so. This is where you find all of your member information. So there's going to be things like your balance. You sign into your account. Again, it's kind of a breakdown of growth and all the investments too, Jeanette. So I think that's really where you'd want to go to the site and make sure you've registered if you've never been on the site before, but it's mycanadalifeatwork.com is the member site that houses that information. Great. Thanks for the question. Hopefully that helps. And again, you could always reach out to us as well if you need assistance. All right, great. Our members newsletter has a table showing the fund performance over 10 years, but it isn't broken down into various segments. So can you tell us what the aggregate performance is over 10 years? So another great question. What you want to do is you want to go to the fund review and fees, because a 10-year every fund is going to have a different performance. So what you want to understand is, what fund are you in, or what fund are you interested in, and what is that relative performance? So if you go in the site under Info Center, under Fund Review and Fees, it's going to have a breakdown. You can download a fund report that goes through that exact question to answer it. So as a portfolio, each fund has its own performance. So there's not like an aggregate that I could speak to, but it's really on a breakdown of each account itself. So hopefully that helps. All right, great. A lot of questions. I love it. So Henry, what is the main difference between RSP and something like a GIC or high interest savings plan? Why would someone choose to contribute to their RSP as opposed to another type of investment? Okay, great. So this is a great question. Thanks for asking it. So one thing I want to clarify is that an RRSP is not an investment in itself. So it's an account that houses the investment. So you could technically have a high interest investment inside an RSP if you wanted to. So GICs are an actual investment vehicle, right? So, or an actual investment itself. So that's just one clarification. I think the biggest thing is in terms of it's the features of an RSP, right? That help in this case. So again, I'll briefly bring up this slide that I went through previously. Um, uh, here it is here, right? So here's the unique features of an RSP that help. But again, you can select any type of investment that's from that pre-selected menu within your plan to put into the RRSP. So hopefully that helps I answer that question. But an RSP is an account that holds investments. And again, it could be from very conservative, like interest bearing, or more stock market based. It's up to you. But that's the features there. Okay, great. Another question. Is the RSP contribution room, how much income earned through, okay, so through the CAEA only, or is it the overall income, all sources? You know what? Let me get back to you on that one. I'm drawing a blank on the exact definition of earnings in this case, but I know I have that reference point. Maybe I'll circle back to you, Sachi, on that one, and just give me a moment. Rebecca also has a question. So the contributions you made on the Canada Life paper statement do not match the Canada Life new contribution activity report. Why would that be? That's a great question. So there is activity reports that you can generate. They're here. I mean, again, I can't speak to it exactly what you're seeing, Rebecca, but you might just want to check on the effective dates, perhaps, of what's like. Is it the statement effective date, say 3 months? Is it the same for your activity report? If there is any discrepancies, again, that's where you might want to call us again, Can Life, if you think something's off, just to confirm this, or to verify what the difference might be, because obviously they should be the same in this case. But my initial reaction to that is potentially it's based on the dates themselves. Okay, last question, and then I'll go back to you, Sachi. I don't see exactly. I don't see where exactly to access the member booklet on My Canada Life. Only a link to plan member supplement fees. Thanks. Okay, that's something, again, we could take away in terms of the member booklet if it's not available on the site. Um, I'll briefly show where it should be in this case, and then again, if it's not there, we'll take that back in this case too. It should be under the info center where you see that. Again, I think perhaps reach out to us at Canada Life, or even the benefits email that Randy provided as well. And if you're not aware of your plan details, then again, the CAEA site also I will bring up here too. Here it is here. This also houses a lot of information as well. So again, you might want to check that out, but give us a call if there's a question about your plan that you're not sure of. Right, so I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. I do want to answer the question, so just give me one moment here. All right. So to answer your question, Sachi, what I have is that it's defined. So the contributions are defined by the Canada Actors Equity Association. So again, maybe that's something again to email the members. Email that membership at caea.com. I don't have the exact definition for you, but if you email them, Mandy, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. That's what I have in my reference sheet that it's defined by them. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I don't, I think historically, our Canadian Actors Equity contribution or contributions under our collective agreement would be no different than contributions
Hmm.
through a salaried employed job as
Salaried.
well.
Yeah.
As well as if you're also a member of ACTRA and you're making contributions to AFBS, it's the total contributions between all sources is my understanding as well.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I know there's some nuance there. It might depend. So great. No, thank you for your support there too, and thanks everyone for all of your questions. We're almost at the top of the hour, so again, I'll briefly say I appreciate everyone's time, attention to the matter. Take away one or two things from today's presentation about your accounts, and hopefully it means more money in your plan eventually. And by all means, reach out to us if you need support further. And yeah, thanks very much for your time today. Much appreciated.